right now. Cliff Schecter is kind enough to join us. Cliff's Edge is the YouTube channel. If you are not there, you are wrong. And some good news, if you like content, you like Cliff, which we all love Cliff, you guys now have a membership program on the YouTube page, correct?
We do. We have the bigger subscribers one, which we're really close to 50,000, which I'm pretty excited about. And for the memberships one, it's going to be, some of the usual. You get some swag, some bloopers of me doing stupid stuff, which of course never happens behind the scenes. And then I've got a couple of celebrity interviews coming up, some stories. Oh, when you worked in DC and did the stuff as long as I do, I've got stories about getting into screaming matches with Kellyanne Conway in the green room. And a cool one was my little sort of time, about 5 minutes being like a Beatle, was when I was in London and I was with Mark Hamill, which you know some of that.
Yes, I do.
And we were in Piccadilly. I think we were in Piccadilly Circus. We were in that sort of area, and a few people knew who he was because Mark had been doing a lot of voiceover stuff, The Joker, which he won awards for, but hadn't been as big a star for a while. And then he came back and he appeared in the Star Wars movie, and that's why I went to visit him there. He was kind enough to invite my family because he was filming. People noticed him and started chasing us. And it was like out of a scene of like that Beatles, which Beatles video or whatever. His wife
Hard Day's
gets
Night.
wasn't
it Hard Day's Night? Wasn't it one? That one, the one.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, his wife gets like her bag knocked out of her hands. I had to pick it. Mary Lou, I had to pick it up for her. It's me and him and her and a few other folks running, and some bouncers led us on a club, and then we went on some Spinal Tap like journey up and down stairways, getting lost in the back of places to try to escape basically a crowd that was chasing after us. Not because of me, because of Mark. But I feel like I've got a lot of interesting, especially I've done work with certain celebrities or whatever. So I've got celebrity interviews set up and stuff, and I've got a lot of that kind of stuff. So that's it. And there's different levels. People can pay anything from the $2 level to just join chats in there to like up to there's a $25 level where you get everything you could ever desire. That's legal, of course. So.
Well,
legal and more tasteful than the RNC convention are the two things they have to be.
Well,
I gave you your segue.
We had a mutual friend yesterday. Bill Corbett was on with us yesterday to talk about the Riff Tracks Live they're going to be doing. And so you will get the Cliff Schecter that me and Bill know, which really is, this is the nitty gritty, the dirty Cliff Schecter. You'll find it all out with the membership. Go to the YouTube page.
Is it like a dirty Sanchez?
Well,
I'm not supposed to say that, am I? Yeah, actually, I can give you the one of the best celebrity experiences when I was in Minneapolis for the Sexy Liberal Comedy Tour. I got to go out to breakfast with the famous Matt McNeil and Bill Corbett. Again, who gets to do that?
Well,
I do,
Dine and Dash, thanks for picking up the tab on that one. I appreciate that.
Did I?
No.
Or was it Corbett?
No.
I think we all just left and didn't pay. No, I'm kidding. We don't do that kind of stuff. We're not Donald Trump Jr.
No. Cliff's Edge on YouTube. Go there, find the memberships button, click on that, become a member. You'll get great content and stuff. But you kind of alluded to this. Can I just say, you had a great post that you put out there on social media that the newspapers of this country seem to have watched a completely different speech than actually what happened, because I saw a speech where Trump just, after 17 minutes, just went into being Trump. This angry, bitter, narcissistic, self-centered, arrogant jackassian of the epic level, which we've always seen.
They did not use enough sedation on him like they did during the debate, where they obviously injected him with enough, or they hit his Adderall or whatever it is they did, his amphetamines. I don't know what he does.
Well,
whatever that makes him him.
Well, and they did this, and then the newspaper headlines were all the same, which was unifier, healing the country. It's like, where the hell did you get this from?
Well, you were being kind in what you're saying there, because that wasn't all that I said in that post. Leave out the 4-letter words. But this was a moment for me, sort of I don't know, I should have had it sooner, and I'm sure plenty of other people did, of clarity. Look, I've been, a part of the mainstream media, you could say. I wrote a column for the Daily Beast for a while, a political column. I wrote a political column that was a syndicated one that ended up in newspapers across the country, the San Francisco Chronicle, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the Miami Herald, places like that. And I got, used to go on MSNBC a lot more. I still go on Lawrence here and there, which is the one I respect the most, but that's a different conversation. But essentially what I said about the newspapers and all of them I've gotten past now. So there are people who say, oh, well, the media, they really, they don't get it. They haven't learned anything. And that's always bothered me because of course they get it. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
All right. These are intelligent people. So that gets me angry. They know what they're doing, but I always thought they were doing it, because they felt they needed to both sides it, right? Because they're wimps, because they don't understand, the fact that what a real journalist does. And they think that they were taught that a real journalist is a stenographer who takes both sides and they're equal. And you're really not doing anybody a service if the two sides are different. And one side, let's say, denies the results of the last election and is saying they'll do that again, and has been accused and convicted of in a civil court of rape and a regular court of 34 felonies, is tied to Project 2025, which you really should all read. If you like The Handmaid's Tale, you'll love that. And that they should cover all this. But I've moved on now. I no longer believe it's about both sides. There may be a couple of them like that. I don't want to ever say everybody. I've now moved to they actively want Donald Trump to win.
Yeah.
I think that, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, as I said in there. I'm a realist theorist. And there's only so much evidence you can look at the disparate treatment between the two of them. If they were both siding it, then they would, after that horrific speech last night, they would have gone after Trump as hard as they went after Biden after his horrific debate performance. Worse, because at least Biden didn't lie. He just had a bad performance. Trump lied about everything and had a terrible performance and was ridiculous. But they didn't. They all said he was great and whatever. And the only, I'm sorry, the only logical conclusion I'm left to sort of end up at is that they're in the tank. And I'm not saying every one of them. I've made sure to point out the Philadelphia Inquirer called for Trump to get out of the race after the debate, not Biden. Everybody should subscribe there. The Cleveland Plain Dealer has made it clear they're going to cover Trump as he is. They're not going to lie for him. So there's another one. But the Washington Post, New York Times, if you're subscribed, unsubscribe. It's garbage. They're lying to you. They clearly want somebody to win because, Maggie Haberman can't get those big book deals without Trump as president, and they can't get all the access journalism that they want, and they can't get all the clicks, all the stories about him doing crazy stuff and get all the ad revenue. And I really think that's all it's about anymore. I don't think there's an ounce of patriotism in most of them. I think it's about money. And again, I made sure to give you two good ones because I never will say they're all the same. And I said Lawrence was a positive one on MSNBC, even though I've now found most of them even to be horrendous. But it just seems like it's bread and circuses. They are ready to just sort of say, all right, look at, our revenue's way down since Biden's been in office. It was through the roof when we had the adversarial, Trump in there and he would say crazy stuff. And I think they want him to win. And they're tilting the scales in his favor because the coverage of that thing last night is ridiculous. It's not related to the event the rest of us watched. And those of us who write speeches, there are a bunch of political consultants. I'm sure you read plenty of them on Twitter. Stuart Stevens was one who wrote ads and speeches for Republicans, in the past and has broken away from the party. Whenever everybody was like, this is the worst speech I've ever seen, ever. Like I've never seen something that bad.
Well, and it was the entire night. The Hulk Hogan introduction. There was a point where, and I think it was Huffington Post covered it, and their coverage is spotty. Raw Story is pretty good. There are a few others out there, but very few. Star Tribune and the Pioneer Press here in Minneapolis are garbage. But when the thing
same with the Inquirer here,
it's
utter garbage, and I would tell nobody to waste their time with it.
Well, and here you have a idiocracy level of introduction.
I'm sorry, I just want to be very clear. That's the Cincinnati Inquirer with an E here, because the Philadelphia Inquirer with an I is one of the ones I pointed out has been leading the pack and is excellent. And I'm subscribed. You all should. All right. I just want to be clear. Go ahead.
Thanks for that. But the people have pointed out there was no W. There is Mitt Romney is not there. None of these guys that have been the bellwether. This is your traditional convention. You bring out your seasoned, your previous presidents, your previous candidates. That's part of the whole thing. That wasn't what it was. It was just basically Trump. And if at any point you were against Trump, you basically had to come in there and bow down and pledge allegiance to Trump, and that was it. That's the entire thing.
You have to be as much of a sycophant as J.D. Vance, who called him America's Hitler, then became, as well as Marco Rubio, who called him a con man, and all these guys that then spent years sucking up to him because they're clearly traitors and don't care about our Constitution and democracy being overthrown as long as they get power. The ones who won't do that, as you mentioned, I don't love Mitt Romney. I think his positions are wrong.
Yeah.
But at least on democracy, he's willing to stand up for what's right. And you're right. I mean, it is. Somebody wrote a story. I'm trying to remember. It was a New Republic or somewhere, like MAGA has erased all history, essentially. Like George W. Bush, forget that he wasn't there. I don't think his name was mentioned. It's like he never existed, And geez, this is one of the most right-wing presidents in U.S. history. But he was pro-immigration reform, and he told people to not, after 9/11, that Islam is a religion based on peace, and that these were people that were the right-wing loony outliers, and to not blame every Muslim you come across. And he believed in international trade and a few things. So he's been cast aside. He's gone. And Mitt Romney, you mentioned. I mean, obviously, we know if John McCain were alive, he wouldn't have been there.
No.
Essentially, you'd have no. I mean, I don't know. Is Pat Buchanan still alive? I'm surprised they didn't drag his old carcass out there so he could start. He could reminisce about his time as a prison camp guard in Germany or something. I don't know. I mean,
Nikki Haley. I mean, who only a few months ago was like, "I'm sorry, I've got to run because this guy's bad," and basically, as someone described her.
But didn't we all say at the time? We all predicted it. Go back and look at the tape. I'm like, she'll endorse him.
Yep, hot to it. That's what she was. She basically, the fact that she crumbled and cowered. I mean, it is sad to see the absolute spineless nature of the Republican Party today.
Well, it's pathetic, too, because I think, look, if this guy, and I'm not saying I wish for anything, I'm talking about actuarial charts. He's older. I know we've only ever heard that Biden's old. This guy's like 3 years younger and about 450 pounds heavier and has the beginnings of heart disease, which was shown when, when they showed his, when Ronnie Piltopper there was like, he looks great. He's going to live till he's 200. In any case, so I mean,
I'll tell you what. Why don't you finish that? We'll let you finish that thought up when we come on back from the break. Cliff Schecter joining us. Cliff's Edge is on YouTube. That's where you need to go and subscribe and get more of Cliff. We'll take a break. Come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
The breakers roar.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Cliff Schecter kind enough to join us here today. And Cliff, we're going to get back to your point there you're making about the people acquiescing to Trump at the RNC. I mean, obviously, no one wants Donald Trump to get shot or assassinated. That was horrible what happened.
No,
and he
wasn't getting to that.
Yeah, and he had an opportunity here. This is where I was scared at the first 17 minutes of that, because all of a sudden this looked like a very different Donald Trump, who was looking indeed saying a kind of a retrospective. I'm like, okay, this is a new thing. And if this is who he's going to be, this could be trouble for the Democrats. But then once again, he becomes who he is. The reality is this is who he's always going to be. He's not going to become anything different. And the fact that every one of these Republicans that went there to pay him tribute, it was pathetic.
Yes, they're all pathetic. I don't know how any of them look in the mirror. I don't know if they live with themselves. I don't know how they aren't disgusted with themselves. I don't know how they have any friends left among those that used to respect them. The point I was trying to make wasn't a morbid one in terms of Trump. I just was saying with actuarial charts and the shape that he's in, he may be gone within 4 years. But if he's still around, all these people like Nikki Haley and whatever throwing themselves in front of him, I don't understand it, because they obviously very badly want to be president. Do they think he's going to endorse them? Of course he's not.
No.
I mean, if there is an election, if we are something that's still a democracy, he'll either endorse J.D. Vance, or if he's angry at J.D. Vance by then and, sent his people to try to hang him too, I guess, he'll pick somebody else probably who reminds him of himself. But he's not picking Nikki Haley, and he's not. So it's even more pathetic that these people do this kind of, like, what is it that she thinks she gets out of this? Mm-hmm. Does she think she remains viable in this party? Because again, once Trump's gone, maybe there's a massive change in the direction of the party. Who the hell knows? But you stand up with honor, you do what you believe in, and then you let the chips fall where they may. But not these toadies. They're pathetic. So.
I'm going to be taking vacation time after this. I'm going to take some time off because I need it. because I don't know why the next phrase for Democrats is so hard. But right now, here it is. Once again, Joe Biden's the nominee. I'm voting for Joe Biden. If he's not the nominee, I'll vote for whoever it is. But until that point happens, I'm voting for Joe Biden. I don't know why this is so hard, but my God, I mean, it is. This election should be an easy layup, and Democrats have a tendency of, once again, not only missing the easy layup, but breaking their leg and killing two people in the stands with the basketball when they try to take the shot. And we are in that process right now, and it is, the last 3 weeks have been just a freaking delight, man. Dear Lord.
I mean, you'd have to have 2 hours here for me to go through this series of self-owns over the last 30 years. I mean, there is a reason why they've been able to block our legislation with a filibuster that doesn't exist anywhere in the Constitution. It's an accident of history. There's a reason why they've lost the vast majority of elections. Barely won. They won the popular vote in one of them. Yet they've been able to stuff the Supreme Court with corrupt Republicans in robes who don't believe in our Constitution. And some of whom were actually outright seditionists, two of whom I can think of, Thomas and Alito. I mean, it's because they will do anything to cheat and will always want to be the reasonable guys. Mm-hmm. Say, okay, it's okay, and you can be both. And this is what's always angered me, and I've never just gotten, is you can be somebody who's willing to work with them when they're willing to work with you on something like an infrastructure bill, if it's good for your people, and it was. And yet still realize that you go after them and destroy them for the evil people that they are. And again, where instead of concentrating fire on that large, galoop that was on stage, that mook on stage last night, I mean, instead of that a guy that walked up to a helmet and kissed it, I mean, I don't have enough. Getting into how weird he is beyond everything else, the way he grabs and almost looks like he's trying to molest the American flag whenever it's nearby. I mean, the beating this guy should be the easiest layup in the world. And I will say, like you, Joe Biden's the nominee. I am excited to vote for him. Mm-hmm. But I will also say, if something changes and it becomes Kamala Harris, I'll be excited to vote for her. And if something happens and somehow it's somebody else, which I hope it doesn't, because it'll mean we'll have done this stupid thing you're talking about where they open up the convention, then I will vote for, I'll vote for a canned ham. I'll vote for the light up there. I'll vote for the chair I'm sitting on. There's a fox in our backyard that's actually been eating squirrels. I'd vote for that over Donald Trump. I mean, give me anything, right? Yeah. I mean, Epicac. I'll vote for Epicac over him. I don't know. Just give me random stuff like that, and I'll tell you I would. So I don't. It just feels like it's part and parcel to the social media age, where so many people are way too online. And yeah, I'm online a lot, but I take my breaks from it to not let it turn me into one of these people, where we just, the recriminations, we attack each other for the smallest things. And some of that is completely Putin and bot manipulated by the right and by foreign actors. But come on, folks, again, some people may want Biden to drop out right now and may think that Kamala gives us a better chance. I think Biden gives us the best chance. And he's the nominee right now, so that's who I'm supporting. But whatever it is that it ends up being, it should be the easiest decision in the world that we all unite that moment behind whoever it is and get the hell out there. Because again, stop being emotional about, we got screwed. Biden got screwed, or Kamala got screwed, or whatever. We all got screwed, right? Roe versus Wade was overturned. The Chevron decision was overturned. We got Supreme Court justices now who are acting like they're scientists. The Voting Rights Act was overturned, and we can't get it passed in Congress again. But it's the Supreme Court. They turned guns into an individual right, something that said well-regulated militia. They're coming after birth control, folks. They're coming after in vitro fertilization. The Alabama Supreme Court already has. Read Project 2025. Listen to J.D. Vance talk. He's given literally the exact same justification for his beliefs. I'm not kidding. This is not an exaggeration. The beliefs that create Gilead, if you've either read or watched The Handmaid's Tale, is based upon birth rates going down. So they decide that women who have been too promiscuous, women who have been gender traitors, who are lesbians, people like that, have caused a lot of this harm, and they are going to become what's akin to slaves to give us children because they can still do that. The way he's talked about it, so the women's complete worth is derived from how many babies can they produce? Can they be a good mother? Nothing else. They're not allowed to do anything else, and they've got no other role in society. Have you heard the stuff JD Vance has said? That we're in trouble with birth rates because women are spending 80 hours working and thinking that's fulfilling when they should be at home. I mean, he said these things. That literally, I mean, I'm not exaggerating. That this is the crazy right-wing theocratic Sons of Jacob group in The Handmaid's Tale. This was their theory. And JD Vance shares their theory of what our birth rate decline is about.
Well, and
it's insane.
And the media is so failing because they describe this concentration camps, mass deportations, women's rights non-existent as, look at those plucky scamps. And you're like, what are you freaking doing? This is, you know, people have to stop buying the Republican talking points on this. They just have to.
I'll just say, I don't know if I don't have a minute, I won't say. You tell me.
Oh, we don't have a minute. We got to get it. But here's the deal. You want more of this?
Another time.
Yes, you want more of this. Cliff Schecter's YouTube page, Cliff's Edge. Not only does it have great content, there's now a membership button. Click on the membership button, become a member. You'll get more Cliff, and that will just make your day better, and you will be smarter with that. Cliff, my friend, thank you very much. I appreciate the time today.
Thanks, buddy. Enjoy the time off.
Yeah, I will. Cliff Schecter, once again, Dr. Tyon Coleman, Traveling Without Moving, that book. We'll talk about that when we come back. It is The Matt McNeil Show.